this is the time when we are going live, but I do have limited time today because I do have an appointment at 9:30 p.m. Sydney time. And being here on the studio is something that I'm passionate about because I wanted to get on my high horse. I wanted to get down and actually say a few things before I jump on to my next appointment. So it's Monday night. If you're tuning in, Sydney is 22nd of May. And in your time zone, it might just still be Sunday night. So I do apologize if you haven't quite caught us at the time where your Monday has started. I definitely don't want to disturb your Sunday, but it's Monday here, so the new week has started. What is the biggest thing that's happening at the moment? Well, the androids are taking over. I don't mean that the machines are coming from a different time and time warping through to attack the humans. What I mean is that there's a lot of talk about what kind of jobs will the future hold? What's next for humanity? Is ChatGPT or is artificial intelligence going to take the jobs that we do from the people that want to do them? I think that the reality is based on what people want to do rather than what has to happen. And the reason I say this, for those of you that realize where I work in Sydney, I'm based close to Wynyard train station. That means that the tech hub that surrounds me is constantly talking about this part of reality, the artificial intelligence, the fact that we can integrate websites, that we can integrate social media together with APIs, together with some sort of a formula so that I guess the data entry or the things that are kind of boring that we do day to day can be replicated, duplicated, and done without our time. So what does that leave us to do? Well, if you were first thinking that the only thing that you're on Instagram for, the only thing that you're on Facebook for, and the only thing that you're on LinkedIn for was to find new clients, well, I guess it's still going to be your face on the advert. If you've seen the number of people now talking about their passions and their goals as part of social media, you'll realize that some of them are sharing just because they want everybody to know that whatever's their favorite thing is the thing that's happening. And other people are talking about it because they're trying to convert their passion into profit. They're trying to convert whatever it is that they've been secretly doing into the stuff that is their main concern. So the side hustle has become either the only gig or the thing that is going to boost them into their future. Then there's the other part of the world where I guess time zones have stopped us from communicating to our family overseas. The fact that we're not picking up the phone or the mobile or even Zoom or WhatsApp to send the message to somebody because we want that instant gratification. We want that communication, but we're not going to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the other half of the sharing the photo album with the people that we've known 20 years ago and are slowly losing touch with. So how does ChatGPT, how does artificial intelligence companies like OpenAI, how do they help us and what do they hinder? From a work perspective, there are so many things that 20 years ago were batched. And if you don't use the word batch yet, look it up on Google. It's the simplest thing, but it is the best thing. In the olden days, we would jump into Photoshop and we would ask it to take a photo and make it square instead of rectangle, or make it rectangle instead of square. And we might have 100 photos, so we'd do that one by one. Then Adobe Photoshop came up with a great idea, which was, why don't we let the program record the clicks and then take a whole folder and on the folder do the same thing over and over and over again? Because you're still centering the photo and then slicing the bits on the extremities, or you're adding a black background to a photo. So we don't really need to waste our time doing the non-creative stuff. Batching was great. What's happening after that, and this was about 20 years ago, what came after that was batching from an automation point of view, so that it wasn't just one movement, but it was potentially several movements. In Microsoft Excel, they call that macros. It meant that you could search from one thing from one part of your spreadsheet to another. Easy enough. Then companies like, I think it was Octopus, they came on social media and allowed one file to be generated once by the user and then advertised or placed on different social media walls and different platforms. And you could choose the time, you can choose the frequency in a way that progressed to more automation of the type of responses. So if somebody said, great post, your response might be, thank you, I appreciate you, or thanks for that. And the computer would rotate through the batched responses instead of, really, you're not being truly creative to say, thank you for noticing me. So the things that we wanted to automate were the things we did automate. The risk now is that the creative stuff is being taken over. When I say taken over, it means potentially somebody who doesn't have the skill to play the right music with the right video background, with the right titles, has automated that task to Zoom or to BigView or to some of the TikTok bots, because the drop-down menus pick the most popular themes, the most popular songs, and they first add it on. They let you remove it if you don't like it, but they automate the section that goes, let me think about how I'm going to do the music. There's a drop-down menu and you go, right, let's just automatically pick the most popular one, and it just works. From a creative point of view, you still have the control to choose the manual option, but automatic kicks in without being told. Now, what's the risk? I guess the risk is that a really good commercial, a really good advert would come out from somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. From a creative point of view, you don't need a license to be a good videographer. From another point of view, if you are working in industries that require some sort of conformity, some sort of rules to be followed, like myself, I work with the Bookkeep Hive to make sure that accounting, taxation, and future planning is handled by somebody that has an accounting license or a bookkeeping license. I work with Aussie Coast House Buyer, so I make sure I only work with a licensed real estate agent that can work as a buyer's agent, that can buy the house for you. Such as myself, I have a license, I have a certificate for, I have a diploma, I have spoken, I have applied to the Department of Fair Trading to make sure they allow me to trade in the states and territories that I'm trading in. The computers might say how good you are and what you do, but from a reality and a lawful use, you still need to get your license, you still need to go to university, you still need to do your tertiary studies to make sure you're qualified to give financial advice or to give real estate advice or to talk to people about real estate or negotiate on their behalf. Because especially when you're dealing with thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, or like in property, millions of dollars, those decisions take a lot of trust in the people that are using you to do the service. And so you can still Google somebody to see, are they registered? You can still Google a name to check with the Department of Fair Trading to make sure they are legitimate. But the risk is that because of the automation of companies that can make a video or an audio work much better than somebody who has no experience could do, the flashy advertising might get somebody interested in a service from a player that doesn't have any experience, has never done what they're selling as a service for themselves. And so all of a sudden you're getting the plane being built while everything is crashing. I've heard this from stage several times where the description is, whatever business idea you have, just do it. Jump off the cliff and build a plane on the way down. That's great when you're doing things for yourself. But when somebody else's money is on the line, especially if you're talking millions of dollars, potentially that's 10 years of work or 20 years of work. That's their life savings that has been hard fought for and won to get to the stage where somebody can put a 10% deposit against the beach house they want. So we're talking about $300,000 that somebody has been saving. Either their family has been saving and donating to them to get them started, or they've been working from the age of 18 for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to be able to buy property in Australia. So be careful when you're looking at something that looks flashy online. That's fantastic. But if it's automated, how are you going to know? How do you look at two things and compare apples for apples and say, okay, well, but it looks professional. But that's just looks. Look under the hood. Do the inspection. Find out if they actually are licensed. Read through the recommendations on their site. Contact people who've given them recommendations and referrals and see what the experience is like. Are they a real person? Have they been around the traps for a while? Or are they a Johnny-come-lately? Are they a fly-by-night? You'll find out pretty quickly once you look at their history and look at who's recommending them and you try to reach out. If it's a house of cards and you realize that there's no substance to the talk, then, well, congratulations to them for using an AI. But you know what? Now everybody can use an AI. There isn't a barrier to entry like there used to be. So I'm not saying that things should go back to the way they were. I actually believe that AI can enhance and help a lot of the things in a lot of the situations that don't require time to be wasted. A good example is one of the programs I'm using at the moment takes about 5 minutes to give me the summary of a suburb on the beach. So this morning, I was looking at a coastal property in a suburb close to Coffs Harbour. If you know New South Wales and you travel north towards Queensland, I won't mention the suburb name. I don't want more competition. I'm the buyer, so I want to be the only one interested in it. So I won't tell you the suburb, but close to Coffs Harbour. And the computer analysed the last 186 days of sales of every property that was listed, how many days it was listed for, if the price was reduced, as in advertised by the agent at one price and then a month later reduced in price, how many properties actually sold, and the difference in the ranging of what they were advertised on within domain.com.au and realestate.com.au. All of that takes my computer 5 minutes to tabulate. But AI can take that information and then run that as a comparison between the other 400 suburbs on my list. So my database, because we're doing the East Coast, goes from Noosa all the way to Melbourne. If I was to sit there and spend 5 minutes on each one of the 400 suburbs, it sounds like it's not much, it's 5 minutes. But when you're looking at a batch of 400 suburbs and the analysis does 1,000 properties times 400 properties, 1,000 properties, 400 suburbs, 5 minutes each, you do the maths. That's a lot of wasted time. And that doesn't get my clients any extra money. It doesn't help them buy what they want. It doesn't give them the result for me to sit there and spend 5 minutes 400 times to get that analysis. But my computer, because I speak to it nicely and I feed it lots of batteries and I make sure that the computer's plugged into the power. It sits there and does it as I sleep. So it programs things when I start, and as long as I give it the correct paradigms and say, start from here, end there, give it to me in this order, it listens and does the tabulating so that I don't need to. And I can get onto the job that I like to do most, which is the human to human interaction, where when I represent my customers living in Sydney and I fly up to Coffs Harbour, it's the negotiation one-on-one between the selling real estate agent and the buying real estate agent. That's where the magic happens, because that's when you discuss what they're willing to be flexible on, what we are willing to be flexible on. It's not always about the price. In fact, quite often it's about time. Quite often it's about the energy. Sometimes it's just, you know what, if we can move in within 3 weeks, we're happy to move for the removalist. We'll pay for the removalist. We'll organize a removalist so that you can get 3 people with a truck roll up with empty boxes, with tape, and with markers so that they can pack your house for you, put it in the truck, take it to the new place. Everything's insured, everything is wrapped safely, and you are not hurting your back, because the professionals do it faster and they mark everything: bedroom 1, bedroom 2, kitchen, bathroom, everything you need, much better than you do, because that's what they do day in, day out. So in an overall point of view, I think the creative stuff, the human to human interaction stuff that I do as a buyer's agent, and that a lot of you do because it's the niche of your business, because that's what you have personal experience with, it won't be replaced by a robot. It won't be replaced by AI. The creative thing will always be you. The only thing that you're missing out on is doing that tedious button pushing. And it's very similar to when calculators were brought in and that mental arithmetic started to decay because it wasn't used. Who misses out on that? Is it because it's causing problems at the checkout when you're going to a shop? No, it's not, because guess what? Internet shopping came in. So it's irrelevant, and calculators are unused, and we're not all dumb. We just do a different type of job now. And I'm looking forward to just being creative more and less tedious, because that gives me back the energy into doing what I love to do. And that means a better result for my clients. So I hope that's working for you in your field. But that's all I wanted to say today. I've got to run off. I've got my other appointment coming up, but great to see you. Thanks for tuning in, and let me stand on my soapbox any day, because I'm always happy to talk. I'm not somebody who's going to sit there quietly and just go, yeah, let's see what happens. But thank you for tuning in. Say hello and let me know if there's other things that you've thought about that AI can do better, or that you feel you could do better than AI. Because for me, it's the human to human negotiation. Let me know in your area which bit attracts your customers to your service, and what you don't want to automate, what you absolutely love to do. Speak to you soon.